My mom always used to say only a fool doesn't change their mind. And the more I lived, the more I grew to understand exactly where she was coming from. You can change your mind and everything is going to have a price. So you can pay the price to change or you can pay the price to remain the same. So I want us to be open to the idea that change is inevitable, but we can have some input and some direction as the process unfolds. I think that along the road of my life, I think achieving and acquiring was the goal. And I would do so just kind of in an automated fashion, right? As soon as I finished with one thing, I would be on to the next challenge. As soon as I finished the first goal, it would kind of just prepare me to go on to the next. And you come to a point where you start asking, well, who are you really and what is driving this and what is motivating this? And how do you know that this is your own? And so I wanted to share a bit about some mini encounters that I've had just with what alignment could be, what a life of fulfillment could be, and to give us some time to just look at how people can really, really, really take advantage of the questions that they ask, okay? And so some of the things that kind of make us shy to start the journey are gonna come with relationships, right? And part of it is judgment. What about judgment? So judgment will have people asking you questions, but what they're really doing is being critical. So they're curious, well, when did you do this? And what are you gonna do next? Well, how did you get to do that? Well, did you consider these other things, right? And the conversation is ripe with just kind of drilling you and preparing you maybe to be ready for some challenges. But some people, because they come from a place of judgment, kind of plant seeds of doubt. So what about doubt? You have doubt from other people anytime you're getting ready to do something different, do something new. And you may have doubt from your own opinion, right? You can bury them and act like they don't exist, or you can recognize that unless you address doubt, they will be responsible for kind of pushing away even your most burning passions, right? The thing that doubt does is it gives you this subconscious sabotage, and you're not informed about what is making the decision for you and why you're making that decision, but you know, like, I have to do this. I think I should do this. And sometimes you have to ask yourself, well, where is this coming from? So just be reminded, life moves forward quickly. I think that when you're deeply diving and you're doing all the things required for surviving, time just really flies. And so I want to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you have been doing the things that you have been doing just out of necessity. And so now I want us to take a minute and consider the privilege of a pivot, right? I think I did a lot of my planning and musing and responding alone. And I think I did it alone so that you don't have to. I've come from a wild, wild ride, working in academia, studying in the sciences, moving on to graduate school, moving on to Hollywood, coming back to traveling abroad and exploring what that could look like, right? And the more that I change country codes, the more that I change kind of concentration in my daily activities, I realize that I've been called to a journey that may look very different than my peers. And so because I'm on a different path, they can't give me directions unless they've walked it ahead of me or have planned to do something similar behind me. And most people are giving you input and insight from where they stand. I always say you understand from where you stand, which is okay, but it's the awareness that this curiosity, this concern might be coming from a place of selfishness. People enjoy you enduring whatever you must so that you can continue to be for them what you have been. Whether you're the friend who gives them the insight or the encouragement, or you're the friend who makes them feel a little bit better because they feel like maybe your ducks are not as orderly and organized as their lives and their choices and decisions are perceived by society. And so if you have this little clue, this little tip, this little trick, you'll be able to receive anything they share with a filter. So that'll prepare you for the judgment and even for your own self-doubt, right? We want to fit in, we want to be a part of the group, but I want to take a moment to consider what happens if you wield your weird. What happens if you were really going to off-road and take advantage of something that looked different but was going to be functional for you? What happens if you were going to be able to tell a story not to your nieces, nephews, children, grandchildren, but also to your former self about how you took the time to make a change and how those changes have made so much more for you as an individual, as someone living and loving and learning? What could life look like? What could life be like? If you were going to just take some of this time and consider that the things that have brought you to this point might not be the things that will take you forward. So these are just some questions I started asking myself, and these are questions I encourage everyone to ask themselves, because I feel like we've been strongly led by invisible hands, and just by virtue of being part of society, you want to be part of the group that's accepted. So let's take some time to think about what can you do now more consciously that will allow you to consciously choose instead of doing things by default because they were expected of you. And so as we pivoting is a practice and that requires planning. And I'm happy to join you on that journey. And so planning for what this could look like for you, whether you're changing countries, whether you're changing city codes, whether you're changing the way you approach your work, whether you're changing the way you use your time, whether you're changing how you gather with family and friends, whether you're changing who you have around you and who encourage, inform, and guide your daily lived experience, and who you look to for validation, right? Are you going to be able to self-sustain and say for yourself, well, this makes sense for me and this is how I'm moving? Or do you need for those peers and parents to always be able to cheerlead and always be able to fully approve of your decisions? So these are all little questions that I ask. And beyond that, I want you to grow accustomed to even being in opposition with things you used to believe. So part of growth is coming into something new with a new information, new people that you consider, and they may be completely separate and apart and just so away from what you used to think were the things that would guide you. And it's like you're picking up a new manual for an old machine, and you have to know that if you have a new manual, you may have some changes in the machinery that are going to function very differently from the old one. So here are some steps that I think that you should take if you're just in the beginning and considering something different. Even before you share, even before you get input, even before you get insight or validation or approval, I want you to think for yourself, what would I be if I allowed myself to be open to something different? Ask yourself the question, who could I be if I allowed myself to move along this path with the idea that the world is welcoming me to my next experience and that there are so many good people ready to partner with me along my journey? What would it take for you to honestly believe that you're not just someone moving along your journey and thinking about how you can make the next impressive step, but you're someone who has taken life to study themselves and to know that all of these steps come together for your own good. And so even if it's in a period of uncertainty that you don't like and you can't necessarily gather, you are very committed and know that you can and will get it together and pull it together. Many plans, right, and the longest journey start with the first step. So, first step, wonder. What could it be like? What would life be like if I wanted and could do something different? Maybe it could be somewhere different. Maybe it could be with different people. The next thing I want you to consider is what would be necessary, whether it's financially, emotionally, and spiritually, in terms of support, for me to successfully make this change or transition in the way I live. And I asked that question because I think I am very much a fan of fairy tales, but I also know sometimes we have to finance the romance. And the way you live, your quality of life is going to depend heavily on your ability to put these things together and to consider that things may change, things as they develop over time, things may look different from time to time, but in order to have some sort of stability, whether it's financially or for your personal lives, you will have to consider that you're going to be funding and supporting yourself all throughout these changes, right? So, what would life look like if you were to welcome these very, very varied forms of income? Or if you were going to utilize and put into action some savings and investments that you've, until this point, put in place to guide you and to carry you throughout life. And how are you going to quell the fears that using resources now, right, in the present need may eliminate your future abundance, right? So think about the fact that you may make a transition, and as you build yourself, that may take time and energy and money. But as you become stable in that new role, in that new place, in that new way of life, it may 10x the time and money that you had available to you. So an abundance approach is also required. So we're wondering what life could look like. We're planning what would be required for us to make these transitions. And also, I want to make sure that you're supporting yourself and giving yourself guidance. Personally, I think that the individual has so much power, and we give away a lot of that power sometimes when we just kind of depend on what our favorite people and our favorite influencers have to say and what they think about it. You may have to go where no one you know has gone before, and it is always, always, always quite uncomfortable. And any new journey to any weird, new, interesting place is going to make you question yourself. It's going to test your abilities. It's going to test your will to go forward, even when you don't know what it lies ahead. So I want you to continue to answer the question, who are you really? And how do you know that this is who you were meant to be? And as you fund your journey, as you finance the romance, as you fill yourself up with realizations about alignment and what could work for you and what has not worked to this point, you may need a pivot plan. And I'm here to work along with you as you build that plan out. You may also need to make sure that you're aligned, and alignment can change according to stage and incidents in your life. And your journey is as unique as your fingerprint. So I want you to know that what it looks like for you is going to be just for you. I think I do a lot of reflection, especially when I have time in quiet spaces. And I love to people watch and see how they organize themselves, organize their decision making, and also how they justify a lot of things that they've made sacrifices for in their life. Their lives make sense to them before they make the choices and after they make the choices. And people are very committed to making sure that they were right in those choices. And I want to submit to you and suggest that it doesn't always matter who is right or wrong. In this specific instance, I want you to think about what works for you now. And it could be something that was considered weird before, and it absolutely aligns now. And what works is what works. And I think that if you are ready to shake up your life with a pivot, if you've considered that what you've been doing has not been doing what you needed to do, and it doesn't seem to be working for you, let's take this journey together. I had to do it mostly alone, and I did a lot of it alone so that you don't have to. There's a moment for us to figure it out, and that time may be now. So click the link in our bio and let's set up a time to talk. Let's pick a slot to call and let's go ahead and get the conversation flowing. I am so excited to see what will become, and I am so ecstatic to see you step into abundance. Let's go ahead and pay for the consultation call, and let's get ready to rock. There's so much that you can do with the pivot plan. I will share also the link to my Stan Store where you can find out more about what's coming down the pipe and what products are awaiting you, tools for you to use as you take this new climb to your own independent and individual summit. Remember, your journey is as unique as your fingerprint. And so I want to book a call, and I want to join you on the journey and subscribe.